Good morning, my love. It's about, I don't know, 5 a.m., I guess, here at the lake. It's about 35 degrees out. It's kind of chilly this morning, but, it's going to get in the 60s, so it's okay. It is Martin Luther King Day, and that is a very important day to a lot of us. Martin Luther King spoke what a lot of us felt in our hearts. Keep in mind, I'm 65, and I lived through racial inequality. I remember those days. I remember seeing the bathrooms that had signs for people of color only. That restaurants, there were sections that only white people could sit in. In schools, they were segregated. When I was in, let me think, sixth grade, I want to say sixth grade, we started busing. I was in Kansas, and they started busing, and everybody was outraged because the black community was being bused into the white community, and the white community was being bused to the schools in the black communities, and people were absolutely outraged. Now, a lot of people were upset because the kids were having to get up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning to get on the buses and get to the schools on time. And I understand that. That's awfully early for a child to get up. But a lot of people were just upset because of the racial aspect. I remember when the buses came to my school, and there were 2 buses that pulled up, and we had police officers along the sidewalk. And on each, our school only had 2 floors. It was a small elementary school, but it had 2 floors, and there was a police officer on each floor. And the children were taken off the bus and walked up the sidewalk, and they were scared to death. They had no idea what they were going to encounter. Keep in mind, with prejudice, it's a learned behavior. And hate is based, for my opinion, is based on ignorance. You're afraid of things you don't know, and you're afraid to learn about. So a lot of these kids had been told horror stories for years about people of other races, and that's all they know. And they're petrified. They don't know if they're going to walk in this school and be beaten. The white kids, were afraid that they were going to come in and beat us up. We didn't know what to expect, and we were scared. All of the kids were scared. And they came in, and, there were a lot of walls up. Some kids were being really tough. Others were just in tears. But it was okay. The teachers handled it beautifully. Everybody introduced themselves, and, we pretty much got down to business relatively quickly, and it was okay. And it wasn't long before friendships started to grow. Before we started realizing they're just another kid. It's okay. We were together on the playground. It was okay. We shared the same bathrooms. It was okay. Now, we didn't have a school cafeteria or anything, so I would go home for lunch. But I'm sure, there were kids that ate at school, and it was okay. We had a trip to Topeka because I lived in Kansas. And we all got on our buses, and it was a big deal, getting to go to the state capitol. We packed our little lunches, and my mom packed my lunch. I had no idea what was in the little brown sack. And I sat next to one of the girls that had been bussed in. And we were in the same class. We had spoken a few times, but I was very, very shy. I really didn't talk to a lot of people. And, the bus trip started. It wasn't that far. Of course, to a bunch of kids, it seemed like forever. And so we hadn't been on the road too long, and people were already starting to eat their lunches. And she opened her sack and pulled out a wedge of cheese. And she said, "This is lunch. You want some?" So I opened my sack, and my mom had packed 2 sandwiches, 2 little bags of chips, and Twinkies. And my mom was not one to buy Twinkies and stuff. But I think she kind of knew this is what could happen. And so we shared, and we struck up a friendship, and we laughed, and we talked about little things that girls talk about. And I remember she had a crush on Michael Jackson, and it was just normal little girl stuff. And that trip brought a lot of kids closer together. There were no problems. None. Now, there were some kids that were bullies. There are always going to be kids that are bullies. Doesn't matter the color of their skin, their religion, their heritage. There are bullies in this world. But you cannot blame that on the color of someone's skin. Bullying can be a learned behavior. Very oftentimes, people that are bullied or people that are bullies, reactive abusers, that's how they're treated at home. It's a learned behavior. I have seen families and kids that have been told, well, if you don't fight them, when you come home from school, you're going to fight me. A child 8 years old should not be put in that situation to face somebody and get in a fist fight or face being, beaten up when he gets home. That's not right. There's a lot of mentalities out there that are like that. We need to change that. We need to learn to accept each other for who we are, love each other, support each other, nurture each other for who we are. Not who you expect somebody to be, not who you wish they were, but who they are. When a baby is born, that baby has no control over the color of its skin, no control over the family it's born into or the environment it's born into, no control over the religion or the culture. It's just here. And there are people that will automatically hate this newborn baby because of the color of its skin and the family it was born into. Things totally, completely out of this child's control. That's not fair, and it's not right. Regardless of the color of your skin, your religion, your culture, your heritage, your ethnicity, we're all people. We all bleed the same red blood. We all cry the same tears. We all grieve. We have more in common than you think. Accept people for who they are, as they are, not who you wish they were, especially if it's your child. Love them, accept them. All children are gifts from God. So keep that in mind, okay? Have a wonderful Monday, and accept those around you. They're pretty special people if you give them a chance.